The Ministry of Education is giving school boards tens of thousands of dollars to solicit gender ideology information from young school-aged children, and I have the documents to prove it. Now, if it weren't for Rebel News, would you know just how many taxpayer dollars were being funneled into schools to collect the gender identity and sexual preferences of our young children? I'm Tamara Ugolini here reporting an update on a story that I ran a few months ago on how young school-aged children were being asked to disclose their gender identity and sexual orientation by way of a data collection survey put out by various school boards all across Ontario. And I wanted to know just how much taxpayers were paying into this outrageous program. And so naturally, I filed an access to information request to find out. You can help to support our independent investigative journalism and check out all of our other exclusive reports at rebelinvestigates.com. So before we get into these documents that I received back, I wanted to remind you what exactly this survey and census entailed. It was originally run as part of Census Week through various school boards the week of October 3rd to the 7th. Now that the Ontario Ministry of Education has mandated school boards collect and analyze voluntary demographic and perceptual student data. It applied to students from grades 4 to 8 who were to complete the surveys with their parents/guardians, and high school students, so those in grades 9 to 12, were to complete the census online at school. This particular census was an identity-based census, which is supposed to enable student and system leaders to address barriers to student success in keeping with Ontario's Education Equity Action Plan. It asks mundane questions like cultural background and language spoken at home before getting right into the nitty-gritty of gender ideology, the gender identity of children as young as grade 4, which is age 9 or 10 roughly. They can select all that apply, and options ranged from female, gender fluid, gender nonconforming, male, non-binary, questioning, transgender female, transgender male, two-spirit, etc. If this wasn't weird enough, they want to know the sexual orientation of these students, again, beginning in grade 4, so roughly age 9 to 10-year-olds. Were they straight or heterosexual, lesbian, gay, bisexual, two-spirit, queer questioning, asexual, pansexual, or otherwise? And now I have the access to information document to show you just how much taxpayer money went into this census program. On page 58 of the document, an email sent on behalf of Patrick Case, who makes $208,294 a year working as the Assistant Deputy Minister in Education Equity Secretariat, detailed the 2021-2022 funding for student demographic data projects. Hello, it reads. I am writing to update you on the 2021-22 PPF funding for demographic data gathering. We are aware that many boards have collected or are in the process of collecting student demographic data, and other boards have yet to engage in this work. As this work expands in boards across the province, the benefits of student demographic data to school boards' efforts to identify and dismantle systemic barriers are evident. As a foundation for board improvement and equity planning, all boards are expected to be in the process of collecting voluntary student demographic data by September 2022. To support this focus, 2021/22 PPF for demographic data gathering will be for student demographic data collection and or analysis projects only. Given that boards are at different stages in the student demographic data process, the ministry will be differentiating the level of funding available to boards as follows. $55,000 if your board has not previously received funding for a student demographic data project, and $35,000 for other boards. On page 9, they note that the most common responses are listed first to minimize first response bias shown to skew responses in this data category when the responses are listed alphabetically. Yet remember the layout of the Rainbow Schools census? It showed female, then gender fluid, then gender nonconforming, and then finally male as the succession of the most common responses. And then for sexual preference, straight and heterosexual is still the most common, apparently, followed by lesbian, then gay, then bisexual. Is this an appropriate allocation of taxpayer dollars? $55,000 to $35,000 per school board from the Ministry of Education to collect and solicit census data on the gender identity and sexual preferences of young school-aged children. According to People for Education, there are roughly 72 school boards in Ontario, which means that this program cost the Ministry of Education anywhere from $2.5 to $3.9 million at $35,000 to $55,000 a pop. Reporting for Rebel News, I'm Tamara Ugolini. This report was made possible through your generous donations at rebelinvestigates.com. If you appreciate this kind of investigative journalism, then please consider chipping in if you're able to at rebelinvestigates.com, and you can look through some of our other exclusive reports while you're there. Thank you for your continued support.